So I'm doing this upper mountain slope here. And it's important that I try to get as close to the ceiling yet show some blue. You have to show that there are tops to the mountains. It's just a thing for me. I know Bill wanted it to go right to the top, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense because it's a selective compression, and us people, we're typically such that we always can see a bit of sky above the mountain when we look up, and we are looking up. So I'm doing some selective compression, but nevertheless still creating the sense that this is really rocky and craggy through here. And it's important to get some red in here because these mountains, and according to his foreground, has red in it. So just a little bit of that burnt sienna and raw sienna helps generate that color tone. Just a little bit in there, you can see the color red. And as I come down the slope here, it's important that that's maintained. These rocks are fairly close to the foreground, so the colors can be darker. So angles here create a little bit of a valley in there. Not much of one, just a little bit of one. The suggestion of the cragginess of the rock by adding white. Just grabbing white and punching it in, and then pulling. Ooh. That hit my funny bone. I haven't hit my funny bone in years. Just a little bit sharp slope there. A little bit of straight down slope there. Waffle it a bit. And a little bit of sharp down slope here. And a little bit of sharp down slope here. Adding a bit of red. And a bit of brown. And some white. important here to get some big slopes. Sharp angles. You have to start going the other way too, because obviously this is going to slope down over here. A little bit of this brown. I may go fix the top with a very tiny brush at the end, just to give it a nice sharp look. Again, starting from the top down, we're going to try to generate your mountain slope, something along these lines. I may put a little mountain in the background there. More straight down here. Alright, so how does that look so far? Does that look like Big Mountain to you?
Yep. I think it's going to do just what I want it to do, Chris. It gives the impression that the hills or the mountains around here are big.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been there, you really need to go and see what the real terrain is like.
Yeah.
And you know, really anybody who's modeling a prototype should really take the time to go look at what your area looks like.
I agree totally.
Whether you're modeling something in Colorado or one of those small switching things in New York City, you really need to go see them.
Yeah.
My first visit out here was in 1974, and over the ensuing years I've been out so many times I've lost count.
Well, what's really interesting though, when you actually do your own painting and you've been somewhere, it becomes a lot easier. Like I did one for Ken Broughton in the Rocky Mountains in and around Jasper, and having been there so many times, you could actually start painting the shapes of the mountains so much easier because all the colors are in your head, right?
Yep.
If I want to start a new ridge here, I can just pump it in on top. This can go behind. This can go somewhere up in here. After a while, you run out of things to say.
Yep.
Because it's all basically the same kind of action. Punch the color in and then draw the paint the direction you want.
Yeah. Well, the real challenge now, of course, is going to be getting the foreground scenery. That's going to be a fair amount of work, my thinking.
Yeah.
Doing the rocks and that, I mean, I may have to go back to rock castings in some areas.
Yeah.
But we've had such a lot of success with styrofoam, particularly over there at Deep Creek. I'm game to try that again.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I like the look of it.
But it's more a vertical strata than it is a horizontal,
Yeah.
which is part of what's going to make it more challenging.
All these nice terminologies. Strata. We got strata. Okay.
Well, that's your geological lesson today from Professor Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yeah. I like the Puffin Billy too. We got that from when you walked over there and it was, you were puffing a little bit when you started talking. It was funny. I said, gee, we got a Puffin Billy. There, how's those shapes? Are they looking okay?
You know, it's the thin air right now that makes it difficult.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you're at
Umpty 1,000 feet.
you're at 9,300 feet right now.
Oh gosh. Who would have thunk it?
I have a vacuum. Just look at junk on the floor.
Now hopefully this isn't too red. I'm trying to add reds in here because of your coloring of the rock in the foreground. I know the original was a little grayer, but so be it.
Well, you know, when you go on these tours, like I was narrow-minded then, so what did I want to do? Well, I wanted to photograph narrow-gauge trains and engines and stuff. And you don't think about scenery.
Right.
And again, you've been out there time and time again, you sort of get it in the back of your mind and you look at what you have to work with at home.
Yeah.
And we really didn't have Sundance's books with all the excellent photographs, and they only came out, what, 10, 12 years ago?
Yes.
A publication that was supposed to be 3 volumes wound up being 12.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, eh?
And they're worth your money.
You figure your real scenery is going to come up this high?
Bring it down a bit more, Chris.
All right, because what I'm going to do, I want to go back to adding that green and black, kind of punching it in here, eh?
I do want to indicate the roadway there too, but I'll have to do that in the real scenery. Because there is a retaining wall that has to be put in and a bunch of other things. I may even put a horse and buggy up there. Or a Sherman tank. Well, it is 1940.
B-52. B-17.
I am going to put something across Ophir Loop, whether it's a Ford Tri-Motor or a Curtis Condor or something like that. Something that'll be appropriate.
That's a neat aircraft.
Good.
Curtis Condor.
I don't think there are any left anymore.
There may not be. I'm not an airplane aficionado, so I wouldn't know for sure.
I know the White Pass and Yukon operated one in the 1930s.
So I can't see what's happening too much, Bill. What I'm going to need from you is to grab some white paint. I need a new tube. The old one's kind of done.
You see the seam and where the sky joined is not as visible now.
No. Paint it out.
I can hear them when they hear the explanation about the sky joining.
What's that?
I can hear them if you put the part in about the explanation of the seam.
Oh.
I wonder who's going to say what.
Yeah. They'll say something. They always do. Good bunch of guys actually. I really like my followers.
You know what I haven't heard yet?
What's that?
Any comments about the Wagner in the background?
No, no, and I don't think you will. You don't want, a lot of people, they don't want to start a big kerfuffle, you know. They like what you do, they don't want to piss you off. They know you love it. But it is, I mean, music is inspiring, right? If you have music playing, it changes your even your painting. So if you use rock music, for example, it becomes much more bold than, say, if you use classical or...
Yeah. No, when Wagner's on, stereo's turned up, don't call me. Shaky sky.
Yeah, it is that. And it is warm summer, so even if it is warm summer, I'm going to put some snow on them there hills.
Well, there is snow up on the tops of them almost all year round.
Yeah. I'll use a tiny brush to do the snow later. Okay, so I have something there. Okay, so okay, now I just have to go and do that part, and then I'm going to change palettes to the trees. I think I'm going to just put blotches of red and brown in here, just so they're there, before I put the green over. But I want to leave it. So this is kind of just added background color, but there will be forest over it.
Yep.
And this has got to be sharp rock over here, so I guess we'll go do that now. Now I'm just coming down and finishing the rock slope in behind here. Trying to match the color as best I can to generate the angle I need before I put some forested trees in and the big black trees. So hopefully you can see it's got a kind of nice pink tone to it, which is the color of Bill's rock. I'm just sketching this in because basically there's going to be green over top once it dries. Punched in green. But you need slopes here and there. And you notice that I'm sloping it this way, and what that does is it actually creates that valley look. If I went that way, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So this is just slope created. You can put some rocky crags in if you want. Add some black to really give it some boldness. Maybe some red, and then just kind of lob it in. Bill's going to be putting a lot of scenery over this, right, Bill?
Well, we'll see what's going to happen. Now we got a hold of MD now and make an appointment so we can get at it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use up the brown and the black in here, the base, and then I got to go over it with the green. Sometimes you waste paint, but it's pennies. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's pennies in the long run. I know you can use a plastic container, like what you keep your lunch in and stuff like that when you've got extra sealed containers. Put a little bit of moisture in there and just seal it with your with a lid, and your paint will last for weeks and you can reuse it. So some people like to actually use those containers as their palettes. I like these tearaway ones, so it's easy, quick cleanup. Start introducing some green in there.